see who logs in. Who's gonna be first? Let's see, let me get live chat set up before you guys start logging in. This first person's here. Let me make sure I got live chat. There we go. Live chat's now set up. You are first. As a matter of fact, you're one of the few people that has ever logged in saying first and actually been first. Been a long day. Actually, you were third, Dustin. Well, maybe, I don't know. It's been a long day. It's a long day. I did a bunch of heat treat today, and so while I was doing heat treat, the next of the sea snakes got cut out to size, did all the dimensioning. It's all the right size. Surface finish pretty much done. Holes are in into size so that I can put handles on it. And this, I finished the hardware, and it just needs a quick wipe off, and it's going to its house. This design, I was kind of keeping stuff secret. This design are both gonna go to We. I'm actually gonna send them off tonight or tomorrow. I'm not. I took pre-orders for these. There was one of these and 5 of these, and they're already gone. These were in one, I had a piece of S125V that was big enough. I put it out. There was enough people just jumped on it when I first said it. So right now, basically the only things that I have that are not pre-ordered and basically done, like I can't take orders for it, are my little neck knives. So those little neck knives, I've got a handful of them left. Now, there may be a couple Hornets left on the backside. There was a couple people that backed out, but that's what I'm gonna do tomorrow because I have to come up. Let's go look. So today, I had a large order for neck knives. Today I heat treated these 5 and packed up these 5 because I have to come back up tomorrow and spend an entire another day. I don't know if you guys know how long it takes. I started the heat treat ovens at 9:30. I started the heat treat oven at 9:30 this morning, and it is currently 6:30, and I am just finished pulling those out. They're still hot. Like, they are probably still hot enough to burn you. So, but now that I'm here this late, I gotta stick around for at least another 45 minutes or traffic's gonna be a fucking nightmare. So, I wish that I had the time to make everything I would like to make, but I just do not. I don't. The knife making is a hobby, and there's a good chance that there's not gonna be any more pre-ordered stuff. I will just make a knife occasionally and put it up. It was ambitious for me to think that I could make 12 of the Hornets and 70 of the Neckers or something like that in a year. And other projects and side things, and there were knives that I made and designed and things like that. So, but like I said, you should be able to get one of these in, I'm trying to get them to do my knives in M390. So, if you get one in M390, it'd still be great. Just, I can't. That one took 11 belts to grind. These things are a nightmare to grind, the S125V. I did it a couple times. You don't sharpen a katana, you polish a katana. It's got a profile that comes down. It's not the same as sharpening a knife. It doesn't have a secondary bevel. It's a full convex, and it's done in a specific fashion. But I have done it, and I used to have stuff to do it with. It's just, it's not worth the $700 I was charging to fucking do a polish on a blade. It was insane. I would spend hours and hours and hours doing it, and you gotta do a specific section and do this rocking motion on specific stones, and it just was like, it would take so long, and then I couldn't use my hands the next day. I was like, fuck this. I got rid of all the stuff, the little bench, all the stuff. It's not even a bench. It's like a little stool that you sit in, leaned over. Made my back hurt, made my shoulders hurt, my hands would be wrecked. You gotta have rags tied around so you can only do a section about that wide at a time, and then you gotta try and move down and marry it in. It's just, it's a fucking nightmare. The champagne of beers. I love Miller High Life. So, yep, just gonna hang out here till those blades cool down. And then I'm gonna probably, I don't know, probably about another, my hair's getting too long. I gotta get rid of this hair. This hair thing is bothering me, guys. It's really starting to get annoying. It's in that fucking everything, and it bothers me when I try and wear my respirator. But yeah, probably about another 45 minutes or so. I'll start heading home, just sometime after 7-ish my time. And then I'll come up tomorrow morning, do the same fucking thing over again. I'm gonna try and get here a little earlier tomorrow. So, let me see, am I missing any? Oop, pushed the wrong button, Let's see, who else is here? I'm fucking sick of it. I've been sick of it. My wife just she's like, why are your hair's horrible? And I was like, babe, I'm gonna give it maybe another month. I think it's almost long enough. The ponytail has to be 10 inches from tip to tip. And I'm pretty sure that it's more than 10 inches. So I think I'm gonna go down to the place down. Oh. I look like the how do you like them apples guy from fucking Good Will Hunting. I'm not a fan of Rick's designs, and a lot of times they weren't great on the flipping side, but he's rectified that. Rick's knives are actually pretty nice, especially now that he's reworked stuff. He's a knife maker that, Jesus Christ, fucking drove me nuts. Rick Hinderer is a knife maker that will listen to his customers, and so people complained they didn't like the action, and so he went back and he reworked the action, and now Hinderer knives actually flip really well. And so before I would have said the quality was there, but the action just wasn't like, if I'm gonna buy a flipper. I had a Hinderer XM18 and I got fucking raked over to Kohl's because I bought it on the secondary market back when you could only get them when he did small amounts, and so I did not get back out of it what I had in it. I don't think I may have, but it took a long time to find somebody to buy it. So I mean, that knife wasn't great at all. Like, you try to flip it and it would, like, that's what it would do. And I'm making this do this. This knife wants to flip, but I'm just gently working it. I mean, this wants to flip, but that's what my Hinderer would do. And then you have to wrist flick it. I was like, I don't fucking like this. But the ones that I've seen at the shows, and if you watch the video, I talked to Rick Hinderer, and he listens to his customers. And so if there are customers that don't like the action on a knife, he fucking went back and said, all right, well, let's fucking fix it. And so Rick's a pretty nice guy to talk to. He's a pretty good guy to talk to. Yeah, Hinderer knives. Well, fuck, I mean, even knives that I don't like I don't like Strider designs, if you watch that video I did, but I can recognize the fact that Dwyer custom, that Dwayne Dwyer full custom, was an incredibly well-built knife. All the Strider knives they just have some issues. A lot of times there's lock stick, like 99% of the time there's lock stick. Some people like lock stick, believe it or not. Some people are like, oh, that tells me that lock's not gonna slip. And I'm like, okay. But like, when it gets bad enough, you gotta have a fucking Phillips head screwdriver to open your knife every time, then it becomes an issue. I have been a couple knives that came to me that were that bad. I fixed a knife the other day, Nico's knife. Nico had a knife that had some, not horrible, but fairly bad lock stick. And so all I did was I just took a piece of 220 grit sandpaper and I scuffed up the interface on the inside of the lock. So when you look, that area right there where your lock marries up, if it is too polished, that allows your especially titanium on steel. This was titanium on steel. This is steel on steel. So the titanium lock would get over further than it should have because it was polished, and then it was making contact with too much material. Those striations allow that titanium to marry up with just the points on the Oh, Nico's having surgery tomorrow. And so it allows that, and then we carbonate the lock face, which gives it some more hardness so it doesn't gall up against the steel. And I did that on Nico's knife, and it came out pretty good. Nico, that knife's not sticking yet, is it? Works great on it. Yeah. So a lot of times it's just, if that lock face or the interface, the radius is too shiny, you can get too much of a flat surface where it allows that titanium to adhere to it like it wants to. So if it's really smooth, like the back of my hand, it'll lock on. But if it's kind of rough, like this, it can't, you know, this is smooth and that's rough. It allows less friction, if that makes sense. One of the things I've learned hanging out up here with these two freaking geniuses. So, what's up, Bradley? Nothing much going on at all. Just, I'm waiting on traffic at this point. Got 5 more knives to heat treat. I was gonna do some cleanup on those, but steel on steel, you usually don't get much lock stick unless it's really polished. The other thing that can cause lock stick is if you get lubrication on the lock face and the interface, it allows, so normally it comes in and it would stop like right here. So it comes in, it stops. But you get oil on it and it comes in and it slides past where it normally would be. And then it, oh, that's too much tension. And then you got to fight to release it because you're allowing that to travel into the lock interface on the back of the blade farther than it normally would because it's got some lubrication. Anytime I've had lock stick on my Sebenza, which my Sebenza has never had lock stick, but every once in a while it'll be like pop, and you're like, ah, I'll take it apart and I will wipe off the lock face and the interface on the end of the blade on that little radius area. And I've never had it not be that. I've never had lock stick on my Sebenza, on either one of my Sebenzas I've owned. I have heard people say that they did get lock stick on a Sebenza, but I would more say that they're probably slamming it open real hard and allowing a little bit of that to work its way over farther than it normally would. I don't wrist flick my Sebenza. As a matter of fact, I get upset when people do. So I don't have to send it back, be that guy that Tim Reeves and Matt and I were talking about at the at the Vegas show. So, hey Nico, what was Matt's last name? The guy from Reeves Knives. Reeve Knives. Thanks. Thanks. Yeah, now I know what it feels like when I do it to people. Yes? All right. Fair enough. Nico's getting now he can tell you what's happening. He has surgery tomorrow. Good luck, dude. Like, seriously, I know I fuck with you a lot, but this one's serious. Good luck. Hopefully don't fucking, like, it's like, oh, sorry, we thought it was a gender reassignment surgery. And then there's Bridget Nikki, I guess, would be what it would be. I don't know. Not invasive. I'm not gonna lie. When I had shoulder surgery, I put arrows and shit all over it. This one. And I put not this one and X's all over this one. Did the same thing when I had my knee surgery. All 3 of my shoulder surgeries. Well, the last 2 I didn't really have to worry about because they were done out in town. The first one I did at the Naval Hospital in Yokosuka, Japan. Nico's having a minor procedure. It's not a big deal. It could be. If they fucking accidentally throw him in there for gender reassignment. Where's it at? It went away. You would not be a pretty chick. I'm telling you right now, Nico. So, I like this. I do like this. So this knife is the Scorpion, and it wound up, now the production model is going to be, that grind's gonna come way back. I brought it, I did it there, and then as I was grinding, I was like, you know what? I don't want to, I had a chance where I could have like taken the grind back further. But the fact is that plunge came out so perfect. And I was looking at it, I was like, I don't want to fuck with it. Bob Terzuola, can never pronounce it, came up here. Hang on just a second. Bob came up one time and he was talking about making knives. And he said, he's like, I'm going to give you a piece of advice. I was like, it was to me and Elliot, and I was like, what's that? He's like, there'll come a time when you're working on something, knife, hardware, handles, and you'll think to yourself, I can take this back there and I can make it better. And it's pretty good already. He's like, so this is what you do when you have that thought in your head. Like, I can take this and I can make it even better, and then I'll just fix it. He's like, don't. It's like, if it's good, leave it the fuck alone. I was like, some valid advice right there. He was saying that the likelihood is that you are not going to make it better, and what you're going to do is wreck any work that you may have already done. I was like, I get it. I can dig it. Occasionally, not often. Bob's not big of it. He was like, it was just, see, if his wife was around, he wouldn't have said that. But Sue had went to go get something to eat. Elliot was working on rendering some knives with Bob. He was trying to do, I think they were working on the CTF. And Bob brought the drawings of some of his knives for him and Elliot to look at. And then they sat down and figured out how the CTF was going to look, and then he sent Bob home with some renders for Bob to tweak and draw on, and then Elliot did the finished stuff. So Bob had all the input, and Elliot, just because Bob doesn't do CAD, and so it was a lot easier for that. But Bob was like, just leave it the fuck alone. If it looks good, just don't mess with it. I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, Bob does his own thing, and Elliot's not big on doing too many more collabs. There's just no money in it. And then, you know, whether or not the knife goes well, he's still on the hook to pay whoever he collaborated with. So I think he said he didn't want to do more unless it was going to be something huge. So well, let's see, what time is it? Hey, does anybody know a good place to get your iPhone basically refurbished? Or your Apple Watch, I mean? I managed to accidentally get mine into, the Scotch-Brite. And kind of scratched the screen a little bit. Okay, a lot. I scratched it a lot. I'm hard on stuff. I just need to replace the screen. I don't give a crap about the housing. The housing can look like shit. All I care about is that the screen works. Whew. That's what am I waiting on in traffic? Have you ever seen what it's like to try and drive in San Diego during rush hour? I live about 15 minutes from the shop. If I leave right now, it'll take me an hour and 20 minutes to get home. I am 16 miles. 16 miles from my garage to Elliot's garage door here at the shop. And I can usually do it about 20 minutes, maybe. If traffic's like not bad, like traffic's just like average. If I was to go now and not wait till like 7:30, it would take me an hour and a half. What's in traffic? I'm waiting on it to go away. There's too much of it. I'm waiting on traffic to leave. I'm waiting on everybody else on the fucking road to get the fuck home and get their fucking ass out of my way. Just get the fuck out of the way, please. Because everyone in San Diego, so for you guys that don't know, San Diego, people think of San Diego and they're like, San Diego. San Diego proper, actual San Diego, is 1,600,000 people. That's a lot of people. National City, 600,000. Chula Vista, 750,000. Lemon Grove is, I think, 300,000 or 400,000 people, and La Mesa is another 600,000 or 700,000 people. But then you have Escondido, Poway, Carmel Mountain, all these other little communities that Lakeside's like, I think, 100,000 people. You add that together, and there's like 5 million fucking people living and working in San Diego, and they're all on the road at the same fucking time. You can, the 805 freeway, for a stretch of it, is 6 lanes wide. And you can be 6 lane wide, bumper to bumper, at 30 miles an hour, if it's running smooth. If it's not, you're driving about 5 miles an hour. And this hillbilly, this angry hillbilly's on the road in it, just cursing and swearing because rush hour where I live is, I heard something. Rush hour where I'm from is like 2 tractors and a fucking cultivator. 2 tractors, one pulling a hay truck, one pulling a cultivator, fucking happen to be going down the road at the same time, and you got to pass both of them. That's it. We have 124 people, not 124,000. 124. Actually, I think it's 300 people now. I think they changed how it's all incorporated. So I think Fresno is now a total of 300 people because they expanded how the census was done, you know, where the township ended. But I do know that corporation limit sign to corporation limit sign in Fresno, Ohio, if you're standing at the entering, you can see the leaving. It's just down the road. There's a place called Pioli. What did you delete? Nico, what are you doing? Why did you, no! Oh, Bradley, sorry, I don't know why Nico, Nico, why did you put Brad in timeout? He wasn't being stupid. Was that an accident? So it's like, this is who you put in timeout right here. You put Peter in timeout. You don't put Bradley in timeout. Bradley, if you're watching, I'm sorry. Let me see if I can go in and cancel that. Let's see. Let me see if I can. I can't undo it. I can't undo it. What's done has been done. 300 seconds. That's a long time. How long is 300 seconds? Why don't somebody tell me how long 300 seconds is? Because sorry, Bradley. It was an accident. Nico did not mean to put you in timeout. Feel free to text me and complain. So I tried something new this time. A lot of times I just drill that hole. And then I worry about adjusting the size for the hardware after. And it's really hard because sometimes, like, I don't know why, like I'll get these pins and I'll do the holes and everything, and then I got to fight with them later, and I got to use the bore bit, the boring bit to clean out the inside. So what I did this time is I made them a little bit, not very big, just a little bit big, so that there's a little bit of play in that, so that when I get ready to put handles on it, I'm not fucking fighting with drilling these out. Nico's seen me do it. It'll take me 30, 40 minutes to get these sized for the hardware. I mean, I was talking to the guy next door runs a motorcycle shop, and we were talking about the knives. He says, so do you make what it's worth for you to make these knives? Like, I mean, you got to figure, like, it's take you like 10 hours. And I was like, bro, it takes me like 10 hours for heat treat. I can't charge. I could not charge what it costs in labor for me to make these. So I just eat the labor cost because I enjoy doing it. And so basically that's how it pays for itself. But yeah, there's a lot that goes into it that people just, I don't know if that they don't see or if they just refuse to acknowledge. Like I told somebody, I was like, I can't, he wanted a knife for like fucking 150 bucks. I was like, dude, I can't make you a knife for 150 bucks. What does it cost? It cost me that much in time to do heat treat. He goes, well, that's just part of the process. So you can't charge. I was like, motherfucker, do you understand how this even works? I charge my time up to a point. And then after that, and the thing is, I reevaluated stuff. I'm actually losing money on some stuff. I got to start charging for sheaths again. It's just all there is to it. I have to start charging for sheaths, and I realized that certain materials, like if you got a knife from me in S125V, you got to pay for extra belts. You're paying for the next batch of belts because I can usually do a Hornet, one of my big fixed blades, in 20 CV. I can usually do it in about 6 belts, the full grind to set the primary bevel. I can do it in like 6 of the 80 grit belts. This much smaller knife, 11, just to set the bevel, just to set the primary grind. And it's 100% because S125V with the in-house heat treat is fucking insane. It is insanely wear resistant. And the first belt, so, you know, it's got the edge on it and it's basically flat across. I don't do any preheat treat grinding because you can't with the temperatures that we quench things at. And so that initial, just touch it against the belt and knock the corner off on both sides, that belt lasted 30 seconds. I was like, that belt's burned out. It's fucking smooth. And you just, like Elliot always says, you got to pretend they're free. And that only goes so far because they're not. They're not. The price of belts has went up, and that's one of the reasons I had to start changing my pricing structures. Belts got more expensive. All abrasives have gotten more expensive. All materials have gotten more expensive. The hardware, the screws, not so much, but I've got to order some barrels. They're almost $1 more than they were because it's the steel stuff where you got to pay a penalty for buying steel overseas. Well, I got news for you. 90% of the steel you're going to buy comes from overseas. Niagara steel, the 20 CV, that's got a lot of components that come from overseas. So those tariffs have changed the price on everything. Now, I do know that the abrasive stuff, they're trying to source some belts that don't use the Chinese abrasives, the ceramics. But, I mean, hey, it is what it is, man. Price of stuff goes up. The price of fucking... Yeah, but I mean, are they making the steel that I'd be using? Probably not. I would love to see American steel catch back up. I worked at a steel mill in Ohio, and there was another place down the road, and they would buy steel from where we were, and they made stainless steel for GE. So they would buy basically ingot steel that we had left over because we made water pipes and poured, cast fire hydrants and stuff like that. And so the other steel that, like the ingots, the stuff that was left over from a pour, would go to them, and then they would refine it down further. They don't even buy steel from the fucking steel mill down the road. They have it brought in from China. It's more cost efficient. 300 seconds, that wasn't a very long 300 seconds. I gotta go home and eat something here soon. But yeah, it was weird. So the plant where I was working, they're only running 3 days a week. Clow fixtures, they Clow water fixtures, they basically are shut down, from what I understand. So it sucks. It sucks, but there's that fucking $15 an hour fucking minimum wage for you. Fucking want to get yourself out of a job? $15 minimum wage, it'll do it. So Primm, Nevada. I told Nico this on our way to to Las Vegas. You drive right through Primm, coming out on the coming out on the 15 out of San Diego to go to Las Vegas. You pass right through Primm. There's a place called Texas Pete or Desert Pete's and Terribles, but there's, you know, there is a huge McDonald's there, one of the biggest I've ever seen in my life. We stopped there with my father-in-law and mother-in-law on our way out to Vegas because my daughter was hungry. There's no counter where you go up and order. They've thinned out their numbers because of the fucking price of a minimum wage. They're like, screw it. There are 5 big kiosks, and you go up and you order your own shit. If you got a problem with it, you wave, and somebody will come help you and then go back. There is no one at the cash register. Only thing people are doing is back there working, and there's one manager standing at the end of the counter waiting for somebody to raise their hand if they need help at the fucking kiosk. And that saves them 5 people. If you work at McDonald's, you should not be getting $15 an hour. That is not a job to support a family. That's a job for a high school kid to get out and enter the workforce and get some training. Now, there are people, managers, high-level managers. I get it. I do get it. But if you work in it, that is not a job that should be paying a living wage. Hey, what's up, bro? You still here in San Diego? So, I mean, like, I should not be paying, like, if $15 an hour is what it's going to pay at McDonald's, I'm going to learn to fucking flip burgers because I fucking definitely do not make $15 an hour right now. I haven't been able to pay myself since, I have not paid myself since December. Matter of fact, last paycheck I gave myself was the 15th of December. If I'm not making money, I can't pay myself. I mean, I'm making enough that basically I'm paying my mortgage out of my business account. Crazy Sharp LLC has paid my mortgage the last 2 months. That's about it. I've had enough to get some stuff, but like I couldn't, like if somebody was like, oh, I want a bunch of knives, I'm like, well, you're gonna have to find somebody else to make them because I can't buy a fucking sheet of steel to make them out of. I don't have that kind of fucking money laying around. It all goes in my daughter's skating. Oh, I'll put the link to it in the bottom after this. I'll put a link in the comments area. I started a GoFundMe for my daughter. So I started the GoFundMe for my daughter's 2019 season, and some people have looked at it and then texted me. They're like, bro, are you crazy? $10,000 for a GoFundMe for your daughter's skating? That's not even what's going to cost us this year. I went through and I looked at the stuff based on a monthly from last year, like December. I looked at that was a pretty heavy month for her. And I looked at what the cost was for just, that's not counting costumes, that's not counting gas, that's not counting hotel rooms, and that is not counting the entry fees into these competitions. And I looked at that and I said, you know what? Let me take off the stuff that I should be paying for. I should be paying for her costumes. I should be paying for gas and things like that because I don't want, that's the parts of it that like if I was gonna fund something, that's not the parts I would wanna be funding. Those are the things that are on the peripheral. The actual $10,000 is almost, it's about half of what it's gonna cost us for my daughter's ice skating for the year. It's about right. So, yeah, $20,000. But the thing is, I don't look at it as a price like, oh, fuck, I don't wanna pay that. I'll pay it gleefully. I'm gonna get a second job if I have to pay for it. But I figured, why not? Why not do a GoFundMe, a social fundraising thing? Why not? People do it for a lot less. There's people that fucking fund my trip around the world. Fuck you. Fuck you. I had to join the Navy to get a trip around the world. Well, here's the thing too. She's that good. She's good enough that like if she did not, and I don't, it's not just because she's my kid. It is because other people, other coaches are telling me how incredibly good she is. And I don't want to hobble that. As long as she's doing good in school, which she got all A's and 1 B, and that's only because that B was only because she did a group project with her friends. It was an assigned group project, and the 2 other kids did not do their part. She was the only one that did her part, but she only got partial credit. That's the only reason she had the B. And the teacher, their science teacher, did not have did not have a midterm because she had surgery on her foot. And then before she came back from that, her husband died. And so there was no one there to do the midterm. The midterm would have put her over. She got 100% on her midterm for English. She got 100% on her midterm for math. She got 100% on her midterm for social studies. And she got a 98 on her choir. She got 100 on her ballet. Because she actually is there. She does ballet. She's in the dance program at San Diego Creative and Performing Arts Academy. So not only does she do ice skating, she's also doing ballet. Which there's cost involved in that school, but I mean, the school is free, but like her leotards and her shoes and all the stuff we have to have for the way her hair has to be done and the ballet bun and all that crap. I was like, God, Jesus, just never fucking stops. Oh, my sister just sent me something that can't be good. Her IQ's way up there like mine. Mine's 136 or 137, I think. She's smarter than I am, so. An IQ is just that. I got news for you. I've met people that have fairly low IQs, and they are super high functioning. That's a bad standard to look at for intelligence. An IQ test is not the best metric for someone. Yeah, I process information really fast. That's like somebody will say something, and I immediately know where it came from. Like Elliot likes to throw out obscure quotes from movies, and like the second he says, I'm like, I know where that's from. Like the other night we were in here and we were doing something, and he handed it back to me. He's, let's see how we did, and I was like, now I got to watch the original Batman. So now I got to watch the original Batman with Jack Nicholson, because that's what the doctor said when he gets ready to pull off the bandages. You'll see what I have to work with. I knew exactly what he was talking about, and he looked at me and said, that's why I like having you around. What's up, David? Your knife is done. Out the hang forged. Okay, so hang on a second. Let me come back to you, discordant mind. All right, Zach. So it came in, and the sheath was great and everything, but I didn't say anything to Matt about it. It looked like he had maybe gotten it up against maybe his press or something metal, and it flattened the tip. So I had to bring it up here to the shop and touch it up. So it was gonna go out last week, but when I got it, it was gonna go out Friday in the morning like everything else. But when I got it and I realized there was a small flaw, I had to take care of it. And so I'll get it shipped out this week. But I need you to do me a favor and text me your address again, just so I got it. It's done. I cleaned it up. I resharpened it. I want to take a good look at it. I may have been drinking when I did it that night. But yeah, it's done. I just want to make sure it's done the way I want it done. So let's see. Probably made a mistake and bought the Spyderco Smock today. It was a knife I'd be willing to coat and sharpen. I don't know. I don't know if I've ever even seen the Spyderco Smock. I know my wife has a smock that she has to wear at work. She works in food service. That's the only smock I can think of. She has a hairnet, a name tag. She works in the school district in the food service department. Well, there's some things I won't do. There's some things I won't do, and there's some things, like I had a guy that got in touch with me. He wanted to get a broken skull, and he's like, hey, how much would it be to take the logo off and refinish the blade and shit like this? And I was like, let me give you a call. I said, send me a text. I want to make sure we're on the same page here. And so I told him, I was like, here's the thing. If you send me a cold, I'm not saying I won't do it, but I want you to look at the fact that's a budget knife. And if you send that to me and I refinish it and I coat it and I sharpen it, you're looking at about 100, 120 bucks for me to do all the internals and stuff like that. And I was like, I mean, I just wanted to make sure we're on the same page before I send you a quote and you lose your mind. And he was like, oh, wow. I was like, yeah. I was like, I mean, if it comes and it's dull, I'll sharpen it for you, no problem. I was like, that's more affordable. That'd be about 25 bucks. But for me to take the knife apart and take all the parts, and strip off all the current, like, Cerakote, and then refinish the blade, and then he was like, he wanted it polished. I was like, I wouldn't polish it in on the buffer. I'd have to polish it in the ceramic. And that takes sometimes 2 days, which means that it's not just as simple as just throw it in and let it roll. You throw it in, you let it roll, then you check it the next morning, then you check it that afternoon, and then you check it again the next morning, and then you check it that afternoon. So I would have to make multiple trips here to take care of it. I was like, you know, I'm burning gas, I'm burning time, I've like 18, that'd be like 30 miles a day for 2 days. I mean, I can't not do it for that price. It doesn't, if I'm doing it less than that, I'm paying him to have done it for him. And I don't like that business model. That's not a viable financial plan right there. Tell you what, I'll pay you $10 to refinish your knife for you. No. No. I am gonna try and do, there's one I'm gonna do for free, and it's a gift for Jason McCoy. I talked to Jake McCoy, his son. I don't think I am. I honestly don't think I am. And I did not agree. You have not even gotten with me about giving me a prepayment for any knife that you think I'm gonna make for you. I don't know what knife it is you think I'm making for you. Peter, got something going on in your head that I just have not been privy to. There's a conversation. You ever hang out with a friend and he'll be like, he'll turn to you and go, anyway. I was like, oh, were we having a conversation? Or were you having a conversation with me and just forgot to invite me? Like you had shit going on in your head and then turned to me, well, anyway. Bro, we weren't talking. My friend Brett would do that in the car all the time. He'd be driving, it'd be just real quiet. He'd turn and look to me, he goes, anyway, what I was saying, I was like, fucking when? When were we saying what? Where am I at here? I'm fucking, was I asleep? Because I'm driving, that's a bad thing. That'd have been bad if I I don't want to break a bottle in here. Christopher hates broken glass in the shop. And I love broken glass. I find the sound of breaking glass quite quite soothing. Well, I've got time to drink one more beer, and then, because I'm only drinking, this is my third one today. So, time to drink one more beer, and then, right? I love it. So before we started putting everything in the small recycle can that you're supposed to dump out every night, that I never dump out every night, the big trash can that was recycling, I would just fucking drop one in and just heave another one on top of it. But apparently that shit broken glass all over the shop, and Christopher was not a fan at all. Let's go take a look at these and see if they've cooled. I guarantee they're cooled down now. Oh, let's see. Oh, yeah, they're dead cold. So tomorrow, Well, those 5 take 8 to 10 hours to heat treat. Actually, it's closer to 6. These are going to get surface finish cleanup on them. Cleanup, aisle 3. So I have to take off all the... One of the keys to heat treat, I will tell you, it's important. Do as much of your surface finish as you can before you throw them in the ovens, because once it's hard, if you have to do a bunch of sanding and stuff like that, it's gonna suck. I had a packet split on me, so this one's got a good bit. It may even have a little pitting. No pitting, just a lot more scale than the other ones. So those are going to get finished tomorrow, and then this is going to get packed up for heat treat, because I've got to get this heat treat done so that I can get it ground. So, yeah. I want to make knives. Fucking Elliot told me not to. I want to make knives. Don't do it. That's what he told me. Told me a bunch of times. Don't do it. It's fucking fun as shit, though. I can't not do it. This is a hobby. I gave you a price. I said a Hornet and SM100 is going to be at least $1,000. And if you're coming up with some crazy shit for handles that's even more work, it's going to be more than that. And I'm doing $1,000 based on the fact that I know what it's going to be like to grind that. Elliot told me the nightmares it's going to be to get that ground. Got him. That's a baseline estimate. That's a grand fucking, if everything goes fucking perfect. And there's always the chances that it won't go perfect. But they're going to be sick. And when I'm saying, that's the thing though, is those are going to be anodized. I have never even actually handled or seen a knife with carbo quartz handles. So we'll see. I mean, it might not even be a big deal. I'm just concerned about the actual SM100 and working it and things like that. So I don't think I'm taking pre-orders really per se for the SM100 ones until I see how it's going to work out. Like, if it just winds up being I can't grind it, then I'm just not going to try and even sell any of them. I'm getting a JG Scout to use soon. You want to test drive? Ooh. I think the Guthrie Scout. I already sharpened one. Metal Effort. Nehemiah. Oh, I see what you're saying. Nehemiah. So at Metal Effort, he had a Guthrie Scout that I sharpened, and it's a nice knife. It's a really nice knife. It's just got some weirdness to the blade grind near the heel at the plunge. Not that the plunge is off. I forget. It was where the choil was, and it was a lot of. I had some issues with it. I just don't remember. I think it ramped up real high, and as I was sharpening it, some of that metal just flaked off, like broke off. I think that's what it was. I don't remember. Yeah, I think that's exactly what it was. That's exactly what it was. It was the just the heel of the edge grind. Ow! Scared now what? No, it was great. Can those titanium tubes in the... Oh, I don't know. I imagine they could if you can get them out. You can't... Okay, so give me a second. Let me grab a beer. This is going to take a second to explain, so I want to think about it while I'm walking away. Okay. So anodizing titanium is 100% about generating a voltage through it and causing it to oxidize on the surface, causing a crystalline structure. Okay, so let me find a piece of titanium here. So there's a piece of titanium here, right? So the way that the electrons and electricity will flow through this is going to be the same across the entire structure. Even if it's got holes and inclusions and cuts and things in it, it does not matter the shape, form. That electricity is going to travel through that titanium the same way around all of it and form the same oxide layer. You get the same color all over it. Now, if you've got a piece of steel that is set in this, yeah, you ceramic coat it. That's how you get it red, Peter. We've had this conversation before. If you set a piece of steel in this, the electricity will flow through that and electrons hit that and then it changes. And so you'll get some washout, you might get some different colors, you'll get some weirdness, like you're going for green and you get bronze around that. So the same holds true for a piece of titanium set in steel. You try to run the electrons through it, it wasn't really red. It was not truly red. It was probably on the side of pink, but okay. Maybe if you heat it, you can probably get red with somebody, but you cannot get it through electricity, really. So anyway, if this was a piece of steel and then there was a titanium tube in there and I tried to anodize it, I would not get the color I'm looking for. Same thing happens with carbon fiber. Carbon fiber does conduct electricity. And so if you've got a carbon fiber inlay, I've had people ask me about, yeah, you'll get some reds on the higher end of purple and bronze when you heat anodimascus, but you're really not gonna get it out of titanium. I mean, you can get close. I've done it close, but you've got to be really high voltage. Nico saw me do it one time. It's got to be really high voltage, and it's got to be a specific surface finish. I've never been able to duplicate it. It was pretty much red, but it was a specific surface finish. I had multi-etched the crap out of it, and I was well up over 130 volts when I was getting in that area where it was giving me some weirdness that looked red. Anyway, so if this was a piece of steel and it had a titanium tube in it, and I tried to anodize that, I would not get what I wanted, and I would get some muddling and things like that, and it does not work out the way. It's the same thing. No, I don't want to. Here's the thing. There are things I say no to, and that, it's one of them. Multi-etch is a very base heavy, it's on the pH scale of bases as opposed to acids, and when you get ready to do anodizing on titanium, you want to make sure that any oxides that are on the surface that are currently there need to be stripped off. And so what you do is you do your surface treatment and then you toss it in the multi-etch about 3 to 5 minutes, and it dissolves chemically the oxide on the surface and gives you a clean oxide-free layer or surface that you can then anodize and form those oxides the way you want. Because if you happen to have a spot where there was some heat and heat colored and things like that, bases are bitter, acids are sour. Acids are sticky, bases are slippery, and it's not because they're slippery, it's because they're emulsifying the acids in your fingers, or the oils on your skin and turning them into soap. So, only one of them is fun, Bradley. So you can't really anodize something that has like a carbon fiber inlay because it screws with the titanium, the way it conducts electricity. It's kind of the same reason I can't ceramic coat aluminum very well. It does not conduct electricity the same way as other things. I don't think you did. There's a story about a guy that spilled multi-etch on his lap and did not get his clothes off and rinse and went home and then didn't take a shower until like late that night. He absorbed enough of it through his skin that he died through skin absorption. It's some nasty shit. So that's why we should probably wear gloves when we do it. I don't. I will let you know if you have a cut on your finger, the multi-etch will tell you. Later, Ben. My phone just told me it's low power mode. So I am gonna get off of here. I gotta start cleaning up so I can get out of here in about another 15 minutes or so. Backwood Blades, what's up, bro? I'm leaving. You caught me on the backside on the end. I am gonna finish my Budweiser Copper Lager. I don't like Budweiser. I love this shit. This shit is good. Anytime I see it, I will buy it. So yeah, I gotta clean up the shop, clean up the mess I made, get everything put back, get the lights off, make sure here's the other thing. I gotta make sure the oven is down to a temperature where it's safe to leave it so I don't burn the fucking shop down. Because I had one oven up to 2200 degrees, and I had the other oven up to 1000 degrees. I don't know if you guys know this. That will light shit on fire. I started a little fire today by accident. There was some like lint and shit. There was some lint and shit over there in the area when I pulled the one knife out at 2200 degrees. It's just glowing like crazy. You probably saw it on my Instagram. And I put it down and that shit landed on top of it. The wind blew it up on, and it just, I was like, oh, let's put the plate on that. Put the quench plate on it. Because we don't oil quench 20 CV, or high carbon, high chromium stainless. They're all air quench, which means I use 2 aluminum plates and I put the material down on one and then I set the other one on top of it and I lean on it to make sure it doesn't take a warp. So, but guys, I'm gonna get off of here. Y'all take care of each other. I got the files from Aaron Frederick so I can do the actual, he talked about the Smatch It. I'm gonna do the Smatch It video and I will put it up for auction. I think I'm gonna start it at $750, which is a good price for that. And then I'm gonna run that auction through, but I gotta find out first. There was a couple people that had showed some interest in it. So I wanna find out from them first if they just wanna buy it outright, but it's gotta be enough to make the trip worth it, because I did pay for a second night at the hotel. The first night was paid for by Jason Levine. The second night I paid for. And so I've got to, I got to at least kind of get back what I've got into that. And therefore, we're not gonna get what I paid for it, but starting at $750 is right about what I paid for it. There's no production Viper. There's production Hornet. There's going to be, hopefully, I'm sending the files off for both of these knives. There's going to be, hopefully, a production Sea Snake and a production Scorpion. So, we'll see how that goes. I really like this one. Really, really like this model. This is one that I think, I'm hoping that this one will sell, because it's just a good size for, it's a good size for a good like field EDC. This is like a bird and trout knife. This would be something that like a fisherman, like a mariner. This is a mariner style blade. Something that you could cut line with, and you don't have to worry about it slipping off the end, and you can get up in stuff and then pop it without catching the tip on your line and shit. So when, I don't know, I should be getting production samples by the end of next month. We told me that the handles are done, that the blades were still in progress. So we'll see. I got to play it by ear on that. But as soon as I know something, you guys will know something. So, all right, guys, take it easy. 58 minutes. I got to get off of here. I got to start cleaning this shit up.